Okay, Parshat Vayeshev. So,
What page?
page 198. Okay. So, Yaakov last week had his confrontation dealing with Esav, and now the pasuk begins. The parsha begins. Would like to take the first pasuk for us. Vayeshev.
Vayeshev Yaakov be'eretz megurei aviv be'eretz Canaan.
Okay. Right away, Vayeshev Yaakov. Yaakov settled be'eretz megurei aviv, in the land of his father's travels, be'eretz Canaan. So we have two different terms here. Vayeshev, he settled. Be'eretz megurei, lagur also means to live, but there is a difference here. And noting this difference, Rashi brings the Medrash. Chazal say, Bikesh Yaakov leishev b'shalva. Yaakov wanted to sit, to settle peacefully. Omer HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem said, Lo dayan l'tzadikim. Is it not enough at tzadikim? Mashem etukan lehem la'olam haba. They've got everything waiting for them in the world to come. Eloshim avakshan leishev b'shalva ba'olam hazeh. They want to sit peacefully in this world also, and kafatz alav. There jumped upon him all of the issues that are about to follow over here with Yosef and the brothers, and, like we said, the very difficult saga. So Yeshev means to settle, peacefully, everything to go gently, and that's not meant to be the case. He wanted to settle Yeshev in the place of Megurei, of the sojournings, right? The travels, the travails of his fathers. Now, why not? What's so wrong about wanting to leishev b'shalva, right? To settle peacefully, right? I like to retire peacefully, right? You might even call the place, I don't know, Leisure World might be a nice name for that place to settle afterwards. Laguna Woods instead of Leisure World, right? On the East Coast, they speak about Deerfield Beach, right, which is a big century village in Florida, which I think has actually, my parents, Aleim Shalom, were there, my in-laws are there. I think it's the largest Orthodox shul, right, in terms of members there. They're like well over 1,000 members over there, right? So what's wrong with leishev b'shalva?
It's the beginning of the end, kind of.
Okay, it's the beginning of the end.
But I also have a question.
Okay, and what's wrong with the beginning of the end?
Nothing to look forward to, accomplish, to
Okay,
strive for.
This is the world of accomplishment. This is the world, right? We say no pain, no gain, right? This is the world where we, they give a mashal, they give a parable of a person who wins the lottery, right? And what this person won in this lottery is they have the ability to go into the biggest department store, and they're going to be there. They go into the king's treasure house, right? And whatever they take out is theirs, right? Whatever they don't, right? Time is up, that's it. They have to leave that treasure house, and they can't take anything with them. Right? So the person goes in there, and at first the person is very, very energetic and is taking things and lugging it outside. The person gets tired, getting a little tired now, time for my afternoon nap. Right? He goes and takes a good nap. Right?
He can't come back in, can he?
I'm sorry?
He can't come back
Inside. He's in there taking a nap. Right? Then he wakes up, he carries out a few more things, and he says, I'm a little bit hungry. let me see. He takes out his sandwich bag. Right? Sits down, has himself a nice peanut butter and jelly. Right? Right? Are you crazy? Right? The clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. Right? Every moment is an opportunity for eternity, for unspeakable riches, unspeakable wealth. Right? So it's not the time to sleep around, right? To take a nap, right? Now, of course, we need to take care of ourselves. We need to sleep. We need to eat, but we don't want to have, as you said, as the birthday girl said, we don't want to have the beginning of the end. We want to fully utilize, and certainly, as we've been learning, Masa Avot Siman Labanim, that which happens with the Avos is the sign of what will be for all eternity for the children. So certainly, we don't want, for Yaakov Avinu, every moment is precious. A way that I thought of it, a person is swimming on that. A person is swimming the English Channel, trying to swim the English Channel, right? And they're going and they're going and going, right? And then at the very end, right, they get really tired, so they grab onto the boat that's accompanying them, right? The moment you touch that,
Everything is
disqualified. Right? So all that they've traveled, disqualified. Right? They were 10 seconds away. 3 seconds away.
They could have even just floated over there or something.
They could have, perhaps. Right? Right? And that's, Yaakov wanted to sit b'shalva. Hashem said, no, that's not what this world is about. Yes?
You mentioned Maseh Avot Siman Lebanim. Didn't he try to do what his father did? And that's maybe it said Be'eretz Megurei Aviv, because we know that Yitzchak was really sitting in the tent. He's known for not going any place or not. He's the one that is in his place, in his house. And Yaakov, since he was very young, he went away. And here we are blaming him for trying to do what the father did and supposed to be good. Wasn't for him his life.
Yeah, Yitzchak had a different avoda, a different mode of service, of purpose and mode of service. And Yaakov was kisarita. Yaakov was striving. Yisroel. This was Yaakov's. This was Yaakov's mission. Yeah.
Maybe that's why we say that's Jacob. So many Jacobs in the world. And so many were the children of Jacob.
Yeah.
Because we're
Yeah.
not
Yes.
children of someone who sits around.
He tried to settle in the land of his father. Isn't it? I can never pronounce his name. Asaph already lived there in that land.
Asaph
He never
was there.
left. He never left.
Yeah.
So he tried to be his neighbor, his brother's neighbor.
Well, actually, we saw last week that he wanted to distance himself.
So,
Right, he was distanced from Asaph. There was enough land there that it doesn't seem there was much contact going on. Okay, now our Parsha contains so much. Our Parsha contains the sale, Yosef's dreams, right? And Yosef bringing the dreams to his, relating the dreams, and the brothers becoming incensed, jealous, and the brothers eventually selling Yosef, right? Yosef being brought down to Mitzrayim. Then we have the whole parsha, the whole episode of Yehuda and Tamar, right? Yehuda going off and marrying, his son's getting married to Tamar, right? The son's dying, waiting for the third son to marry, and then Tamar disguising herself and then being with Yehuda, children being born, and then we return back to Yosef, going down to Mitzrayim, and we have Yosef and the wife of Potiphar, and the whole seduction, attempted seduction, and Yosef being thrown into prison, and then we have the dreams that he encounters there in the prison of the butler and of the baker, and the dreams coming true, and Yosef's plea to remember him as he is being taken out. So there's a lot to cover here. Is there? I'm pretty open. Is there a certain part that you'd want to go into more than the other?
Which is your suggestion?
So we have the brothers' sale of Yosef. We have Yehuda and Tamar. We have Yehuda and Tamar. Okay. So let's go there. Let's go there. Just in general, we've mentioned before how deception, right, keeps reverberating back. Right? That Yaakov, there was deception with Yaakov. Which deception did Yaakov do? Right? Right? The blessings. Right? I wouldn't say that he stole the blessings because he had bought the birthright. Right? So the blessing was rightfully his, but it was done in a deceptive manner, right, regarding his father. Right? And then what came back at Yaakov? Lavan. Good. The deception of Lavan switching Rachel and Leah. And then again with Lavan, when it came to his wages, the different speckled or spotted, which we learn Aseret Monim, that Lavan had changed it around 10 different times. Right? Yeah, I'm sorry, 100 times. Yeah, thank you. 100 times that Lavan had changed it around. Right? And then we have over here Yosef. Yosef being, yeah?
But then Yaakov deceived Lavan by leaving without telling him.
Okay.
Because they had a
deal.
Didn't they have an agreement that he would ask before he left?
I don't think so.
That
was Moshe and Yitro.
There was. He would never have left.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a deception. We said it. He said, "Ganafta et libi," you've stolen my heart. Right? You didn't inform me. I don't know if I would comfortably call that one a deception necessarily.
I think that if you're being abused by who is now your father-in-law, then I think all bets are off.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would agree with you, Eve, on that. Yeah, right. He had to get out of there, and I wouldn't call that a deception. But then we have the brothers selling Yosef, and then taking Yosef's coat, special cloak, showing it to Yaakov, and saying to him, Yehuda saying to him, Haker na, recognize, is this the ketonet, is this the shirt, right, of your son? So again, Yaakov was deceived, okay, and he thinks chaya ra'a achalatu, right, he's been consumed by a wild beast, right? So we have this deception that keeps reverberating, and now we're going to see it again by Yehuda over here.
What was the purpose of Rachel taking those idols with her?
So yes.
Why?
Rashi says that she wanted to distance her father from the idolatry.
She could have thrown it away. She didn't have to take it. We
know
in this time...
And it's too late to change him anyway, Lavan.
It was
too late.
Well, maybe not to change him, but to take away the wares that he uses, right? It might be too late to, you can't change a person, but you might decide to lock up the alcohol, right? Right. So basically, that's what was happening over here.
Not when you leave. You have tried to do that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Ruti.
After they told him that his son died and he was mourning for him, it says that all his sons and all his daughters came to comfort him. So where's the daughters?
Right. So if we go back just a little bit,
Where is it?
on page 206. We're going to start on 208, but on page 206 says all banav ubenotav. So Rashi brings two explanations. One explanation is that there was a twin daughter that was born along with each of the shvatim, with each of the tribes. Or alternatively, Rashi brings another opinion that these were the wives, the daughters-in-law, right, of the tribes, and a person calls their daughter-in-law or their son-in-law, right? They call them, my son or my daughter. So that's referring.
Dina also.
Correct, but that's only one, right? Yeah, the chidush of Dina was that it wasn't a twin girl along with a boy, but that was actually just a, just the daughter. So according to that, right? Yeah. So we make a big deal about Dina, but actually there were other ones that were also born along. Okay. So let's go. So at this point, Yosef was go down to Mitzrayim, Vayihi, page 208. Let's pick up over there. Vayihi ba'etahi, Ruti b'chavod. The top, 208.
ויהי בעת ההיא, וירד יהודה מאת אחיו וית על איש אדולמי ושמו חירה. וירא שם יהודה בת איש כנעני ושמו שוע. ויתאחר ויבוא אליה. ותער ותלד בן ותקרא את שמו ער. ותער עוד ותלד בן ותקרא את שמו עונן. ותוסף עוד ותלד בן ותקרא את שמו שלה. והיה בכזיב בלידתה אותו, ויקח יהודה אשת לער בכורו ושמה תמר.
Good. Let's go in English over here. It was at that time. Here's what we first.
It was at that time that Yehuda went down from his brothers and turned away towards an Adulamite man whose name was Chira.
Now we say Vayered Yehuda. Yehuda went down, right? Descended over here. There was a descent over here. So what's the connection that we have between Yosef being sold, the father not being comforted, and now Yehuda? So we have over here, Rashi brings the medrash that the brothers, if you remember, when they were debating what to do with Yosef. So the first thing was, let's kill him, right? Along came Yehuda and said, Ma betza, what do we gain? Remember the Moshiach and Vayeshev David we did? Ma betza, we learned that? The Moshiach and David, that whole thing lined up.
Sorry,
So
you're talking kind of quickly.
So Yehuda said, Ma betza, what's to be gained by killing him? What should we do instead? Sell him. Right? And that's what they did. Now they see the anguish of the father. Now who do they turn to? Their big brother, the leader, Yehuda. And they said...
They put the blame on him.
They put the blame on him. They said, look, we listened to you. Right? You said, do this instead of that, we listened to you. If you would have said, let's not do this at all, let's bring him back safely to his father, Hayushomen lecha, we would have listened to you. And therefore Yehuda left in somewhat of disgrace, in somewhat of rejection. Vayered Yehuda, he went down. And he turned to an Adulamite man whose name was Chira. There Judah saw, continue that, Eve?
Okay. There Yehuda saw the daughter of a prominent merchant whose name was Shua. He married her and consorted with her. She conceived and bore a son, and he called his name Er. She conceived again and bore a son, and she called his name Onan. And yet again, and she bore a son, and called his name Shelah, and it was in Chaziv when she bore him.
So Yehuda is now marrying this woman.
Why
Right.
does Knani translate it to prominent? Because we are afraid to say that they used to marry women around
So
them.
Kanani
So
could
they all
also
did.
be, Rashi actually learns that it's a tigra. That was a term for a merchant. That's where they got the prominent
Right,
from.
because they are afraid to say that they married. We
It's
know
not
that
afraid.
the Jews married.
It's not afraid. They're different.
Even King Shlomo married, you know, and none of them.
Well, they're different opinions, right? It's not afraid, right? There are different meanings of Kanani, and therefore there are different interpretations.
Either another place in Knani has different meaning?
Um,
I'm sorry, I don't understand. What do you mean? They're
Knani
ashamed of.
is the person from the land of Canaan. That's what they.
so take a look. Right,
She's saying
if you want to take a look at the right. She's pointing out that Kanani normally simply is a Canaanite. Yeah, we seem to be wanting to avoid that. So take a look, if you want, at the bottom over here. We have this little paragraph, right? The daughter of a prominent merchant. Most commentators translate Kanani as merchant rather than the more common Canaanite, based on the Talmud, which remarks, is it possible that Abraham exhorted Isaac and Isaac Jacob not to marry Canaanite women, and yet Judah went and married one? Right? We see such an emphasis not to marry Canaanite women. Al-Shah comments that the Torah uses the unusual term Kanani for merchant because his family's sojourn among the accursed Canaanites affected them adversely. This would account for the sinfulness of Judah's first two children from her, as described below. Judah has always stressed the importance of the environment on people, right, and to raise our children among people of high moral caliber. Yeah, so you're raising a good point, right? And the simple meaning certainly is Kanani, and there are reasons to want to say that is not the case over here, right? According to the Al-Sheikh, that was the case, and therefore we'll see what's going to be happening now. Let's continue over there. So I just want to pick up on the reading from Parsha 6. Judah took a wife
for Er, his firstborn. Her name was Tamar. But Er, Yehuda's firstborn, was evil in the eyes of Hashem, and Hashem caused him to die. Then Yehuda said to Onan, consort with your brother's wife and enter into levirate marriage, which is Yibbum.
And establish offspring.
And establish offspring for your brother.
Okay, so the concept of Yibbum is that when a person dies without children, then we spoke about the opportunities that are here in this world. And we have Yaakov wanting to sit peacefully in this world, not utilizing every moment of this world. Now, this world presents opportunities that one does not have in the next stage. In the next stage, everything is apparent. One sees God, the malachim, the whole spiritual realm. There is no free will at that point. It's only in this world that one has opportunity. Now, even though one can't accomplish more once they leave this world, but more can be accomplished that goes to the credit of that person through that which a person has left here in this world. Right? Simplest case is children. That which the children do, so they continue, children, grandchildren, etc., they're only here in this world because of that parent. They continue to generate, so to speak, on behalf of that parent. It's a merit of the parent that this good is happening in this world because of the people that they brought into this world. If a person builds an orphanage, a person builds a yeshiva, a person builds a shul, a person donates to an orphanage, towards a yeshiva, towards a shul, once again, that person is generating here in this world. So the idea is if a person dies without any children, there is an opportunity to give that person still a foothold here on this earth. And that is through the mitzvah of Yibbum, that the brother of the deceased will marry the wife, and called Yibbum, levirate marriage, and the child that is born, the children born, are considered to be the spiritual progeny of the late brother. And that is this incredible chesed, kindness that is done. If the brother, in one's Torah terms, we'll see, If the brother decides not to do it, they go through a process called chalitza. Thank you, Dov. Chalitza literally means is the removal of the shoe, right? And spitting. And the idea of that is actually very, we can understand that in a very fundamental manner. The shoe is called, the body is called the shoe of the soul. Okay? When Moshe was told, when he came to the burning bush, Shal na'alecha me'al reglecha, take your shoes off your feet, it meant rise up to a spiritual level that even the body can't even hold the foot. The foot referring to the lowest part of the soul. So the shoe houses the lowest part of the body. The body houses the lowest part of the soul. So the shoe, the body, is what enables the soul to walk here on earth. Now we can understand then why we have halachot, parameters that are given as to how one should put on their shoes in the morning and take off their shoes at night. Right? About that you have halachot. Well, we understand, right? If the shoe represents the body and the foot represents the lowest part of the soul that the body contains, the rest is shooting out of the body. So then putting on the shoe parallels, the foot going into the shoe parallels
The soul going into the body.
birth, soul going into the body. And the shoe coming off the foot parallels the death, right? The body, the soul leaving the body. Now, this person who died without any children, so he lost that opportunity to have what we're calling here a shoe, to have something over here on this earth. But there is this possibility through the actions of the brother, and if the brother decides to do Yibbum, then the late brother still has a connection, is still here on this earth, again through the progeny, the children that are born, that are considered to be his spiritual continuity. But the brother decides he's not going to do it. What is he in effect doing? Taking off the shoe. He's taking off. He has the right not to do it. He's taking off the shoe. The brother had the opportunity to have that shoe, to have that body, to have that generator of mitzvot, of merit in this world. He decided not to do it. He took off. That's why he takes off his shoe. Now, when we see someone do something that is troubling to us, that's disgusting to us, he had this opportunity to help the brother in such an eternal manner, and he chose not to. When we feel disgust, what is the natural reaction when we feel disgust? That's what we do, right? We spit, right?
Women
right?
usually don't, but
You vomit.
But you feel like spitting, right? Right? It's an expression of disgust, right? And that is what that ceremony of chalitza is, with the removal of the shoe and this display of disgust. Nowadays, the Gemara says that if a person does Yibbum,
Which is
Yibbum is marrying the late brother's wife, but not doing it for the mitzvah, but doing it because, well, she's a great person, right? So the Gemara now, a person is one of the incest relationships is a brother's wife, a late brother's wife, when there is no mitzvah of Yibbum. Meaning, if a brother passes away and there were children, right, then any of his brothers is not allowed to marry the wife. That's one of the incest relationships. However, when there are no children, then, as opposed to being an incest relationship, it's a mitzvah, right? So the Gemara says that if a person marries the late brother's wife because she's a great woman, great girl, right? I'd love to marry her. So you're not doing it for the mitzvah of Yibbum. It's like you're marrying this incest relationship. Therefore, nowadays, we only do chalitza. Right? In such a situation where a husband died, leaving a wife without any children, and there is a paternal brother to that late husband, then nowadays we do chalitza. So coming back over here, I'm sorry? We don't, correct, we don't, they don't marry, they do chalitza.
There is a law.
That's what's done in practice today.
In practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was an English law that a brother does not allow, and I think they took their laws from some Torah.
They took a lot of the laws from Torah.
There was a really interesting movie about two sisters, and the pregnant sister was married, of course. She was the older one, but she passed away during childbirth.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
And then the younger sister, the mother wanted her to marry the husband.
Yes, a man can marry a wife of his, a sister. If his wife if he divorces a woman, he cannot marry her sister, right? But if a wife passes away, the husband can marry the sister.
It's a different.
Yes, yes. It's not. It would not be right. That's not Yibbum, right? It's a different set of laws there. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you.
The name of the filling the void. It's an excellent.
Better late than never, please. Good to see you.
Filling the void.
Good.
Filling the void.
That's the name of the movie.
Good. Okay, so the older brother dies, so what's going to follow? The younger brother, or the middle brother in this case, is going to do Yibbum. Right? Now let's understand this next pasuk, based on what we just said. Vayeda Onan. Pasuk 9. Onan knew.
Onan knew that.
Oh, it's saying, let's say, Vayoma Yehuda Onan. Yehuda said to Onan, you will establish seed for
your brother.
Your brother.
These kids are not his. These are his brothers.
V'yeda Onan Onanu ki lo lo yihazara. The children will not be considered his.
They're his brothers.
Right? They'll be considered the spiritual progeny of his brother. Therefore, he made sure that his wife would not become pregnant, that she would not receive his seed. It was bad in the eyes of Hashem, that which he had done, and vayamet gam oto, and therefore he too died.
Wait, but if it didn't it say that he was the brother was that heir was already like kind of a bad guy? So why would you want if Onan knew that his brother was the next kid?
For Beinei Hashem, let's go simple with that. Beinei Hashem, in the eyes of Hashem, we're not sure exactly, right? And we don't say, well, I'm going to do Yibbum if he was a tzaddik, but he's not a tzaddik, I'm not going to do Yibbum, right? That's already a realm that we don't go into. We let God decide.
If the brother is married,
okay, so according to Torah law, a man can have more than one wife, right? So that would not preclude the Yibbum. That would not necessarily preclude the Yibbum. Okay. Now there's a third son. Right? Who is the third son? Shelah. Okay. So what happened over here? Shall you want to take it? Verse 11. Then Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law,
Remain a widow in your father's house until my son Shula grows up. For he thought, lest he also die like his brothers. So Tamar went and lived in her father's house.
Okay, so realize something over here. First of all, there are two interpretations. What was Yehuda's actual plan? Was his plan according to it's Rashi and the Ramban? Just 1 second.
He didn't want to marry Shelah to her. She was a black widow.
But it says that
In
she
his
didn't
mind.
mean to
So,
marry.
Either the view is that he had no
intention.
Yeah, Rashi says he had no intention, right? You know, this is the black widow over here, right? Two of his sons have died married to her. He had no intention of marrying Shayla off to him, right? He was just pushing her away.
So
According
he's
to
deceiving again.
yes, according to Ramban, he did plan on having Shayla marry her, but once Shayla would become older and more mature and wouldn't make the same mistakes as his brothers. However, we see something over here that she was willing to wait. This Tamar was an exceptional woman who was willing to wait until little Shayla grew up and would be eligible for marriage, even though the age would be somewhat off. So she went to live in his father's house. Many days passed. Continue over there, Cheryl. Many days passed.
Many days passed, and Shua's daughter, the wife of Yehuda, died. When Yehuda was consoled, he went up to oversee his sheep shearers, he and his Adulamite friend Hirah, to Timnah. And Tamar was told as follows, "Behold, your father-in-law is coming up to Timnah to shear his sheep." So she removed her widow's garb from upon her, covered herself with a veil, and wrapped herself up. She then sat by the crossroads, which is on the road toward Timnah, for she saw that Shayla had grown, and she had not been given to him as a wife.
So at this point, a couple of points to realize. According to Rashi, she realized that I don't think he's going to, his plan is not to have me marry Shayla. According to Ramban, she thought Shayla was of age, and perhaps Shayla was of biological, physical age, but was not yet mature enough, but she didn't understand that. So now, once the Torah was given, the Ramban explains Yibbum can only be done through a paternal brother. But the concept of Yibbum, this spiritual continuity that will carry on, can be done through any relative of the brother, even a father. Even a father. So what Tamar has in mind over here now is to be part of this family and to have this Yibbum through Yehuda. So she removed the widow's garb from upon her, which means until now she has been faithfully awaiting the marriage to Shayla. She has not taken off the widow's garb. It's been years. And she has not taken off the widow's garb. She covered herself with a veil, wrapped herself up, and sat by the crossroads, right? Waiting, hoping that she will end up being with Yehuda. Vayireha Yehuda. Pasuk Tedvav. Yehuda saw her. Vayachsheveha lizona. And thought that she was a harlot. Ki chista paneha. She had covered her face, right? And therefore he did not recognize her as Tamar. Vayet eleha el haderech. And he went to her, he detoured towards her. Vayomer, and he said, Havana vo elayich, right? And he, let me please consort with you. Ki lo yada, he did not know ki chalatohi. This was the daughter-in-law. Vatomer, she said, Mati tainli, ki tavo elai. What will you give to me? Vayomer, and he said, Anochi ashalach gedi izim min hatzon. I will send goats from the flock. Vatomer, she said, Im titain eravon ad shalchecha. Yes, if you will give me collateral until you will send it. Vayomer, he said, Ma'e ravon, what is the collateral? She'etein lach. Vatomer chotamcha, your signet ring. Ubetilecha, your cloak. Umatcha, and the staff. Asher biadecha. Vayitein la, he gave it to her. Vayavo ela, he was with her. Vatahar lo, and she became pregnant. Vatakam vatelech vatasat sipa me'aleh. She then took off this veil. Vatilbash bigdei al menuta, and she got right back into her widow's clothing. Vayishlach Yehuda Yehuda sent the goats through his friend Adulami to bring this Lakante Ravam Yarisha to give the goats and take back his collateral. V'lo mitza'ah. He did not find her. They asked the people of the place, where is the harlot who was over there by the crossroads? There's no harlot over here. Vayeshev, he returned to Yehuda and he said, Lo mitzati, I have not found her. The Gaman Shem Akom, and people said, there's no Kadesha. Vayom Yehuda said, Tikach la, right? Take it to her. Penny elavuz, right? Otherwise we're going to be Tikach la, right? Let her keep the collateral that she has, right? I can't turn myself into a comedy, into a laughing stock over here, right? I sent the Gedi, and we have not found her. Okay. Yehuda, just 1 second, Dov. Yehuda had just deceived his father. How did he deceive his father?
By helping his brothers.
Well,
He said that he died.
He dipped the coat into blood and showed it to his father and said, Hakerna, recognize, is this the ketonet? Is this the cloak of your brother? And the pasuk says he dipped it into the blood of a goat, because the coloring, the consistency is similar to human blood. So he had just deceived his father with a goat. Now, if you remember, when Yaakov brought the food to Yitzchak, what did he bring? Gedi'izim, right? He brought the goat meat. Right, so Yaakov had deceived his father. Yaakov was deceived by Yehuda with the Gedi. Yaakov was deceived by his son Yehuda with the Gedi. Yehuda is deceived by Chad Gadya, right? Is deceived by Tamar with the Gedi. Now realize also over here, right? What are the chances of Yehuda going off and consorting with this woman who's dressed up as a harlot? Chances are pretty low, right? But Tamar said, I want to be part of this family. I want to have this mitzvah of Yibbum, and I'm going to do that which I can do. Right? Okay, right? And we find that throughout, we find this called the Shuchta de Satan. We find that all that which leads to the Moshiach, and we'll soon see this leads to the Moshiach, all that which leads to the Moshiach comes from the most convoluted and seemingly decadence. That's where Moshiach comes from. And one of the explanations that's given is that the Moshiach needs to take this world from its completely decadent state and overturn it, and bring about this complete new reality, this complete new existence. And therefore, in order to have the ability to overturn in such a way, he must have in his DNA this complete overturn, this shady, at best, right, a background, and is able to turn things around.
That's why after Shabtai Tzvi, that the Frank is whatever you call it in English, the follower of the Frank, they did all kind of moral things. Immoral things, because they thought this is the way to bring the Mashiach, and that's part of our history.
Yeah. There's Matir Asurim, right? And there was a lot of craziness there.
Problem.
And what about when the temple was being destroyed? There was somebody also who could have been the Moshiach. I've forgotten his name.
Bar Kochva.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how could he have been? I mean, in terms of all this, how does that relate?
Oh, well, he was a descendant from Yehuda, we'll soon see. Right?
Only because he was a descendant?
Yes, well, we'll see, we'll soon now. Vayugat, I'm sorry.
Rabbi.
So we did all of this. Yes.
Do you see, I mean, maybe everybody sees this, but aren't there a lot of parallels with the story of Ruth?
100%.
Yeah, I thought
Of
about
100%.
absolutely.
Right? And that's going to be the next stage in the Moshiach coming about. Yeah. Yeah. Not only that, but there are three such episodes, right? Because where does Ruth come from? Moab. Where does Moab come from?
Lot and his daughters.
Lot and his daughters. So you have Lot and his daughters, right? Creating Moab, right? Out from which comes Ruth, right? You have Yehuda and Tamar, we'll soon see, creating Peretz, out from which comes the Davidic line. And then you've got, right, and then, well, along the way, you've got Boaz with Ruth, right, as the great-great-grandmother of King David. Yes, so there are three different episodes of this controversy, better word than that, of this, well,
Tamar, where did she come from, Tamar? What people?
They don't tell us.
yeah, that we don't go into. Yes.
So, the issue of no one questions why he would consort.
Yes. So there are those that say that in those days it was acceptable, right? And right, still it's not what we would expect from Yehuda. According to the Medrash, right? His a famous teaching is that no one is able to overcome their inclinations without some divine help. And the divine help was taken away from him then in order that what would result, which we'll see in a moment.
He also wasn't alone in his life because he left his father because he felt guilty.
Yeah.
And then his wife died.
Vayihi, and it was Kimishlosh Chadashim. After about 3 months, it was told to Yehuda saying, your daughter-in-law Tamar has committed adultery. And she's pregnant from this. Yehuda said, what is the ruling in such a case? Capital punishment. Let her be taken out, and she will be put to death, actually burned to death. He mutzeit, she was taken out. V'hi shalcha el chami elimor, and she sent to her father-in-law saying, L'isha sher eilalo anochi hara. She said to him, to whoever these belong to, the cloak, the signet ring, and the staff, that is from whom I am pregnant. V'atorman, she said, haker na, recognize, please. To who do these items belong? Haker na, recognize, please. The very same words that Yehuda had used. When did Yehuda just use those words?
To Yaakov.
To Yaakov. Identify, please. Right? Haker na. Right? Hakatonet binchahi. Is this the cloak of your son or not? So all of a sudden, this is reverberating in Yehuda's brain. Haker na. I just used those words when there was deception. And now look what's coming back at me. Now, Yehuda is faced with the most humiliating situation imaginable. He's part of the Beit Din, along with, well, it might even be along with his father, right? Right? He is part of this Beit Din. And now what does he do?
He has to admit it.
Right? Now, what he could have done, he can't allow her to die. That's clear. But what he could have done was he could have said, in light of this new evidence that has been presented, we're going to delay this execution. That's what he could have done to save her and also save face. But he didn't. What did he do? Vayomer tzadka mimeni. She is righteous. Either she is more righteous than I, or tzadka, she is righteous. Mimeni. Her pregnancy is
Mine.
from me. Because I didn't give her to Shelah, my son. V'lo Yosef od ladata. And either he did not continue to be with her, or he did not cease from being with her. They fulfilled this Yibbum. Vayhi be'et lidata, and it was at the time of her birth. V'inei tomim b'vitna. There were twins. V'hi be'lidata, when she's giving birth. V'yitem yad. Okay, the famous, right? One of the children stuck out the hand. They tied the string right onto the hand, and then in the end, right? That's not who was born first. The other one came first. Paratz parents. He was called Parents. The other one was called Zarach. And then we go right back to you. We go back right back to Yosef.
And it sounds just like Esau and Jacob.
Well, yes, yes. Now, out from Peretz comes the whole lineage of Yehuda. I believe it's the Kliyakar says. Now, the Gemara says a number of things over here. The Gemara says, first of all, look at the righteousness of Tamar. The Gemara says, you know what humiliating someone is? It's like murdering someone. The Gemara says, better to be thrown into a furnace than to humiliate someone else publicly. Where do we learn it out from?
This.
Tamar. Tamar was willing. She didn't say it was you. Haker na, recognize, please. Okay? Recognize, please. Now, next thing we have is the whole story of Yosef and the wife of Potiphar who tried to seduce him. Just one point I want to make over here.
Before we go further,
Yes, though.
this alludes to Hanukkah over here. The ring, the staff, and the cloak. It alludes to the Hanukkah, to the mirror.
I'm not sure how, though.
The ring, you put the candle in. The staff is the candle, and the wick is the cloak.
You can tie
Okay,
things.
perhaps.
By the way, why
Perhaps.
did you say that we come all from Peretz?
The,
Because
no,
it's
no,
really
no,
the
no,
second
no, no.
one.
The kingdom of Yehuda, right, of David, comes from Peretz.
But why? But he's really not the Bechor. I mean, really, he's not the Bechor because she put the thing on the first
Only
one.
the hand came
and
out.
Then, and he,
The Bechor is determined by the birth, not by a hand coming out.
So what she put on the first one, because it's a little bit
They
like Yaakov and
assumed
Isaac.
that would be the one that would come out first, right? So they'd be able to recognize. But in the end, he did not come out first, right? Paratz broke his way through.
So Peretz
Now-
came out first then?
Yes, yes. That's what's called Peretz, right? He broke through. He broke on. Yeah. Okay. Now Rashi brings the Medrash. Why do we have this story of Tamar and the story of Potiphar back to back? To tell us, Mazul l'shem shamayim, avzul l'shem shamayim. The same way Tamar acted with the purest of intentions, so too the wife of Potiphar acted with the purest of intentions. Because she saw that out from her and Yosef would come children. So she acted with the purest of intentions. How did children come out from her and Yosef? Well, who did Yosef end up marrying? Asnat, who was the daughter of Potiphar. Right? So she saw correctly that out from her and Yosef would come children. But she thought it was from her. In fact, it was from her daughter.
But she was married. How could she be righteous?
Okay.
But
So the
also-
question is that's
The
asked.
man is allowed, but not the
Okay,
woman.
so the question that's asked is, how could it be that they both started off l'shem shamayim with the purest of intentions, and Tamar is the matriarch of Moshiach,
No, she was available.
right? And Potiphar, the wife of Potiphar, is considered, right, is a disgusting, degraded person in...
Her name isn't even given.
I'm sorry? Correct. We don't even know her name. So, the wife of Potiphar.
They call it Potiphar, which probably means
Yeah.
wife of Potiphar.
The intention
Right.
was different. The intention was different. That one was
The situation was different.
Wait, first Ali, what were you
The
saying?
intention was different. Tamar's intention was to...
No, we're saying their intentions were the same.
The same,
No.
but
The
the
same-
situation was different.
Right?
No, the intentions, why she wanted to stay in that family, to have a child from that family. I don't know why, but she thought maybe that family's... she did it not for herself.
Okay, okay.
While Potiphar's wife wanted to do it just for herself.
Okay, but we seem to saying their intentions were equally pure, right? Dali's making an excellent point that Tamar was available, it was the mitzvah of Yibbum, and Potiphar, right? She was a married woman, so it couldn't have been. Linda?
Also, the reactions they did afterwards.
Okay, good. We'll come to that in a second. Excellent. Chai Rivka.
I just want to say that all these stories have something in common in that people really didn't understand what was going on. They didn't see the truth. But when they did, like Yehuda and Jacob, when Jacob saw the angels and he said, I didn't even know it, this God was in the place. I didn't even know it. He recognized. Judah recognized. So it's a lesson for all of us that what we actually see may not be the truth.
Right.
But we need to look
Or
for
at
the
best, it's a
truth.
small part of the whole
That's
picture.
why Jacob is so powerful.
Yeah.
And Yehuda is so powerful.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
because they-
And if I could just add to that, the reason we're called Yehudim, right? The Kliyakos, I started to say, the Kliyakos, did I say this before? I started to say it before, I think I got sidetracked. The Kliyakos says the reason we're called Yehudim is because this midah of truth that we get from Yehuda, right? Of this painful honesty, even to his own complete humiliation.
And taking responsibility.
Yes, but the Baalei Musar point out a very, very important point over here. What Linda started to say, right? They might have both started off l'shem shamayim with the purest of intentions, and we always start off with pure intentions. Who doesn't start off with pure intentions? But then there's always going to be challenges along the way where it's not so easy. And the question is not how do we start off, but how do we deal with those hardships, and then how do we react to that, right? Oh, but by the wife of Potiphar, it didn't go the way she wanted. Yosef ran out while she was still holding on to his coat. Yosef was afraid if he'd start to struggle with her to get the coat, who knows what will end up happening. So he left his coat and ran out knowing that this was going to be used, or this could be used against him. She started off l'shem shamayim, but then where does she go when it doesn't go her way? Then she turns into this vengeant person, right? And she says, he came and he tried to seduce me, and when I screamed, then he ran out, and here's his coat to prove it. It didn't go her way, and then she tried to destroy Yosef. Tamar also, it's not going her way. She's being taken out, vihi mutzeit. Actually, she was being taken out, but mutzeit, mutzat also means burnt. She was starting to be burnt already, right? But she would not. She was not going to destroy. She was not going to destroy herself by destroying someone else. And she simply said to whoever this belongs to, that's who it's from, Hakerna, recognize, please. When it didn't go her way, she still stayed true to that l'shem shamayim. And that's how she became the mother of Malchut. And Potiphar is an object of scorn and derision. L'shem shamayim. Everyone starts out l'shem shamayim. Everyone starts out with the purest of intentions. But it's not the start, it's the follow-through when things don't go the way we envision it. Leah.